Hey everybody, this is Echo Papa, and today we're going to talk about the options for the player in Virtual DJ 8. This is videos in response to a comment that someone left that they want to know about what some of the features were, like Smart Play and Smart Cue, etc. So we'll go through all those. They also wanted to know about some of the hidden features in Virtual DJ, but we'll actually go through that in another video. So let's dive right in. Down here is one of the menus for the different options for the player. Let's skip over Smart Play and Smart Cue for now. Let's jump right into Smart Loop. Now let's go ahead and turn Smart Loop off. Now the Virtual DJ will set a loop anywhere you want it, wherever you set the in point and wherever you set the out point. But if you hit it at the wrong point, you can definitely screw up your loop. So right now, let's go ahead and try to intentionally make a bad loop. So let's go ahead and play our track. As you can hear, that's a pretty sad sounding loop. So, but we did it on purpose. So now we're going to put on Smart Loop and we're going to try and do it again. This time I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to intentionally miss the beats and see if Virtual DJ will fix it for me. So here we go. We're going to press play. See, and even though I hit it off beat, it still said, well, you hit it here, but you probably wanted to, make a, in this case, it was a 4-beat loop. So, so it just fixes that for us. And next, let's talk about, oh, you know what? People say, well, Smart Loop sounds pretty awesome. Why would you not want to use a Smart Loop? Well, couple reasons. Some people, they're just purists and they want to do in and out, and that's just fine, because I don't always have Smart Loop turned on. But another great reason why you would not want to use Smart Loop is, like, let's say that you're playing a song. The first half of the song is all dialogue, and the second half of the song is an actual song with a beat and tempo and stuff. Now, when you set your beat anchors, you're going to want to do it at the first beat of the song. And so so that way, like, let's say you're overlaying one song on top of another, even the part that's the dialogue is still going to be beat synced to another track. Now, let's say in that dialogue that you want to, let's say there's a sound effect or say a phrase, like let's say throw your hands up in the air, and you want to put it right at, throw and end at, air. And so you get that piece and you want to set it as a loop. Well, if that piece does not fall into the 4-beat loop of the song itself, it's still going to try and fix it for you and try to make it a 4-beat loop. So it can really throw you off a little bit because your in point and your out points won't be where you thought they were, because it's trying to fix it for you. And it's not that it's doing something wrong, it's just that it thinks that you're trying to set that loop as perfect loop when you're not. You're just trying to grab that piece of dialogue or sound effect or whatever it is. So that's why you might want to not use it, or simply you may just be a purist. There's definitely nothing wrong with that. I do use Smart Loop. That's it's one of the things that I do like to use, just because I use loops a lot, and there's nothing worse than train wrecking your loop when you're at an event. The other two that we're going to go over is Smart Play and Smart Cue. Now, for Smart Play and Smart Cue, what they're going to do is it's going to require the other track to play. Now, when you start up a song, you can hit play, and if you don't hit play on beat with the other song, Virtual DJ will still play it for you. It doesn't care. But if you have Smart Play on, it's going to make sure that your beats line up. Now, it's not going to sync it for you, so if your tempos are off in your songs, it's not going to fix that. But it's just going to make sure that your beats line up when you press play. So when you press play, it may, not play the song for a, billionth of a second to make sure that the beats are on. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to play a song in the other track on the other side, and then I'm going to go ahead, turn Smart Play on, and I'm going to try to intentionally not play at the start point over here, and see if this will sync up the beats for us. Now in this case, both of these tracks have the same tempo. So let's go ahead and press play over here. So as you can see, it kept it, on beat, even though I didn't set it on there. Now, Smart Cue is the exact same way. The only difference is that it's going to do that with the Cue button. and you say, well, why would I want the Q button to, have smart Q? The Q button's function is to, prep the song for playing. Well, you can use the Q song for performance. Like, let's say if you're using it as kind of an impromptu sampler. Like, let's say you had a piece of dialogue here, you could do it for that. Or if you're just, drumming something out, you can use it for that too. And smart Q will make sure that Q point, when you hit it, is going to be on beat with your other track. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the master tempo. There's master tempo and there's key lock, and they're very similar, but they're not quite the same thing. So we're going to go for both of them. Master tempo is allows you to keep the tempo of the song to change, but keep the pitch of the song the same. Now in this case, the key of our song is A flat. So let's go ahead. Right now we have master tempo off. I'm going to play the track, and then I'm going to change the use the pitch shifter to move it down a little bit. Now you can see that along with our tempo change, we are also getting a pitch change. Now that's just because that's what happens when you slow down music. Just because it's digital doesn't change anything. Now what master tempo does, if we turn that on, and now if we play it and we do that tempo change, it's going to keep the pitch the same. Okay, so that's what master tempo does. But there are some situations where you want to use something called the key lock. Key lock is very similar to master tempo, except for what it's going to do is it's going to lock the key that you're in. So let's say when we pitch this down, and it slowed down the song and also changed the pitch, and you mixed it in there. But now you just realize that you can't change that pitch because you're playing at that pitch, and if you were to suddenly jump to the actual pitch of the song, it's going to sound kind of weird. So you can lock in that pitch. So let's show you how to do that. Up here, there's another menu. If you drop it down, you get this little menu right here. Okay, this is your key menu. And this right here is key lock. Okay, and so let's go ahead and first of all, we're gonna turn this off, and I'm gonna pitch this song down a little bit so we can hear it. Okay, now we've heard that we've pitched that song down, but now we're gonna lock it. Play it again. Now, even though we have set the tempo back to where it was, because we locked that pitch at that lower pitch level, it's gonna stay where it's at. And you're gonna say, well, why? What's the point of that? Well, if you're in a situation, if you've mixed it in and you mix it in at that lower key, you're not gonna want to necessarily change it all the time. You typically want to lock it, and then so that way when you make your tempo adjustment, it stays at that pitch. So next, let's go over this. This is key up and down. Let's go ahead and reset this. Turn this off. Get back to 0. Oh, if you didn't know, if you click this little button next to the pitch function, the pitch slider, it will reset you back to 0. So let's go ahead and play the song. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to change the pitch of the song without changing the tempo. We're going to do that by pressing this minus button to pitch it down and the plus button to pitch it up. Alright, so these buttons will adjust that pitch for you, so you can go up and down, and you can do some pretty cool things. One thing I will warn you of, one day I was hitting these up and down pretty hard, trying to see if I could make a new song out of the track that I had loaded up, and I hit it. And now, granted, I was smashing those buttons pretty fast, and I managed to lock up the interface. Now, the song did not stop playing. The song kept on playing fine and never stopped, but I did manage to lock up the interface, and I couldn't click on anything. It did that for probably a good 30-45 seconds, and then suddenly it all came back, and then I had full control again, and then after that I kept running it, and it never crashed. And so it did not crash, but it did lock up. So and I was probably pushing it pretty hard because I was clicking on these pretty fast. And whether that's something just me working it too hard, or if it's a bug that they're still working out of the system, because they are still putting out updates. Just be aware of that. If don't go too crazy with these buttons, because you might run into a problem. So let's reset our track. Let's go ahead and set our master tempo again. Now, me personally, and this is just a personal opinion, I usually click master tempo and leave master tempo locked all the time, because most people want to hear the songs that they want to listen to in the tempo that it was recorded at. In a song like this that we're playing right now, if I were to play it, people probably don't know what the original pitch sounds like. So if I started the song pitched up or pitched down, they probably wouldn't be none the wiser. But if you're at a Sweet 16 and you're playing their favorite Katy Perry song down, pitched down a couple steps, they're going to notice right away. So I usually just keep it just locked anyway, so that way you always know that you're playing at the original pitch that the song was recorded at. The last button on here is equal, and then this says it's match key. It's to basically, it's kind of like a sync. Instead of syncing the beat, it just syncs the key, so that way whatever the key is on the other deck is the key that's on this deck. If you're trying to make sure that you mix songs that are in the same key, it can come in handy. I personally don't use it, but it's there, and you can use it if you need it. The next things before we let's talk about this one real quick. The pitch range. This is for the pitch fader right here. You can set this to whatever you want. I usually leave mine at 100%. But I do change it on occasion, and the reason that I set mine at 100% is because a lot of times I like to do a manual break, and for that I have to turn the master tempo off. So you'll play a song, and if you go all the way to the top, you have stopped the song. So sometimes I'll do that, like if I'm if I want to manually break something, and especially like if I'm getting ready to make say an announcement, I want everybody's attention. Hey, guess what? It's this is gonna happen. It gets everybody's attention, and then you can ease it back up. But you can put it to wherever you want. They have all kinds of pitch ranges in here. People who use turntables, and there's a lower pitch range. Of people who use CD players, and they're used to a higher pitch range. It's pretty flexible, so they pretty well hit every range that someone could possibly want. Now, before we get to the button behavior right here, I want to go over something over here, because it's the snap function. The snap function is like it's what it says right there, smart cue, and it's the same thing as smart play, except for it's going to be for your cue points. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit this. It's off right now, as you can see, and I'm gonna hit this as fast as I can hit it. Alright, now you can see that as fast as I can click that mouse, it's going to re-hit that cue point. So let's turn snap on, and let's see what it does now. Now you can see, even though I'm hitting it as fast as I can, it's trying to keep it on beat. And so I'm just, it's just refiring that beat at the beginning of each beat. So that can come in pretty handy. Because if you're, let's say you're doing, let's say a mashup, and you're jumping all over the place. You're jumping from the, the chorus back to a verse, over to the break, and then back again. Having the snap function on really makes sure that you're staying on point with the tempo of the song. So now, I do want to mention that things like the snap, smart play, smart cue, even smart loop, a lot of these things, because they're tempo dependent, they're assuming that the information that you have set for your song is correct, that your tempo is correct, that your beat anchors are all correct. So if it's a song that you're going to do a performance with, I kind of recommend that you go through the BPM editor and really go through that track and make sure that you have your anchor set correctly and your BPM is 100% correct. Next, let's go over here to the button behavior. The window may cut this off a little bit, but first of all, let's go over to play Stutter. Let's click that. Now you can see it's a play button, And over here, you got a play pause button. Now this is the default for Virtual DJ. And then let's go ahead and set a cue point here. This is the default for Virtual DJ, and then what this does is it makes it act like a stutter button. If I hit play, it'll play the song, but if I hit play again, it'll re-trigger that cue point. So let me just go ahead and do it. Now in the same way, it'll fire off, just as fast as I can click it. Now over here is your play, or your pause and your stop button. And you say, well, what's the stopwatch button there for? Well, really what the stop button is on top of, obviously stopping the song, it's going to let you jump through your cue points. So right now we have a cue point here set at 1. Let's go ahead and set another one at 2, 3. We're just going to set some random cue points here. All right, now that we're paused, if we click this, you can see we're going to jump through all of our cue points. And keep in mind that one of those points is going to be the beginning of the song. Okay, that's going to be song start. So you jump right through there. So if you have a song paused and you want to move to a different position, just click that button and it'll do that for you. So this is the default setting for Virtual DJ, and it's pretty handy. And actually, this is the way that I prefer to use Virtual DJ, but I don't use this mode. Actually, the button behavior that I use is down here is called play pause. And the reason that I use this setup, and the reason that they have it in there, is because this is the way my controller is. The controller that I use has the play button and the pause button as the same button. So it's just really it's kind of confusing before, I mean, I know you can change it and you can reskin it with the old version, but with this, they just give you an option that you can do that versus your buttons being different than what your controller is. Because before I switched it to this, it was kind of confusing because my buttons reacted one way as a play and a pause, and then the play button at the top acted as a stutter button. So this just lets the buttons on my controller and the buttons on my player act the same way. So this is the way I keep it set. So you say, well, what does the stop button do? Because there's not a stop button on my controller. Well, that stop button, it's going to do the same thing. It's still going to stop the song if you play it, but it's also going to jump through those cue points right there, including the beginning of the song. One thing to note, and the thing to make note of, is there's on top of all the cues that you set in the beginning of the song, which is its own cue point, there's also another cue point, and that's the cue point for the cue button. It can have its own, what they call a temporary cue point. So, and it will jump through that too. So let's go ahead and put our song right here. Let's go ahead and mark cue. Now you can see the cue button is lit up, so it's saved a cue point, but it's not set a hot cue. So if we click the start button, we jump through to the start of the song. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and there's our temporary cue point right there. So that's, you are not, just because you have set cue points here, don't think that that's where you have to keep the cue button. It will, you can still move this temporary cue point wherever you want it, and you can light it up, click it, light it up, and there you go. You still have another cue point there. All right, and the last thing that we're going to talk about down here in the menu is the button behavior. And these checkboxes on here, and I apologize, I know it's cutting it off a little bit, but there's 3 options for it. There's cue standard, okay, and that's just a regular cue button. There is cue hold to play, and then there's cue inverted. Okay, now let's go ahead and try them all out. Of course, we obviously know what the cue button does. It's that button that we all love, so that way we can set our beats, we can make sure that we're where we're at in the song, so we can test to make sure we got the right song. It's a very useful function, but there's a couple of different options for it. The first one is, you see now it's changed to CUH. Now that's cue hold, or cue hold to play. And what the difference is like, let's go ahead and turn this off back to a regular cue button. Now, when I hold this button, no matter how long I hold this button, halfway through the song, as soon as I let it up, it's going to stop. Now, let's say you're mixing, okay, and you run into a situation where you start playing the song with the cue button, okay, and it's happened to a lot of people. It's happened to me before, where you've hit the play button, and you're playing the song, and maybe it's perfect on beat or it's perfect in the mix, and so you go ahead and you just let it fly. But you know what? You're holding down that cue button, and that song is only going to play for as long as you hold that cue button. So and once you let it go, guess what? Your song's going to stop. Your mix is going to stop. Okay. Now on any controller or any most CD players, all you have to do is press the play button, and it'll play the song from where you're playing at, and you can let that cue button go. So the problem that you have with Virtual DJ, if you're DJing without a controller and you're DJing with a mouse, and not with say multi-touch mode, in tablet mode here, that you're just have your mouse here, you're stuck. You can't even go load a song on the other track, because if you let your mouse up off the button, you're going to stop the song, and you're kind of stuck. So what cue to hold does is that it helps you out. Now if we were to do the same thing, if we hold it down, now all you gotta do is hold the song down for a minute. If I let it go, it's still playing. Okay, so you're no longer stuck. And some people just prefer it like this. They say, oh well, hey, that's where I want it. Just keep holding it down, and your song's gonna keep on playing. Or if you are doing mouse only for your performance, then it's definitely something handy to have. So, and the last one is called Q inverted. It's just a CUP, and that's Q, I guess inverted play maybe, but inverted is what it's called. And what it does, it makes the Q button act backwards. It's a little odd. Let's go ahead and play the song, and I'll show it to you. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna press this button here. Now, when I hold down the button, the song pauses. When I let it go, the song plays again, and it goes back to that cue point. Now to stop the song, I have to either use the play or the pause. Now, what's that for? I'm not 100% sure. I picked my brain, and there's got to be a use for it, because I've just never come across it before, and I couldn't think of one. So if you know, put it in the comments, and and let me know, because I'm not sure where you would use that function. But the guys at Atomics are real smart, and they wouldn't have put that in there if it weren't like an option somewhere else that they were trying to to give to the DJs, or if it was something new that it's like, well, hey, we can do some neat tricks with this. So if you know what that might be, make sure you let me know. I'm gonna go back to the regular cue button, because that's just what I'm used to, and that's what I like to do. So this has been Echo Papa. If you guys have any questions that you have, please leave them down in the comments. I'll try and get to them. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you really like it, please share it with your friends on Twitter and on Facebook. Click subscribe. We're going to keep pumping out good videos to you. And until next time, my name is Echo Papa, and I will talk to you later.